Hi guys, so this is my first vlog, and it's accompanying a post that I made on my Tumblr, which is the same name as this channel, brooksdcpadventures.tumblr.com. In that post, I was talking about the entire application process of the DCP and also my timeline of how things went. And I went pretty into detail for almost every single step except for the phone interview, which I left for this video because it's a whole lot of information to cover, so I figured a video would be the best way to do it. And basically, I'm going to start off by saying do a lot of research. I'm not going to say every question I was asked in this video, but there are some Tumblr blogs as well as Blogspot blogs where people go really into detail about what sort of questions they were asked during their interview for specific roles. I'll give you a couple brief examples, but I'm definitely not going over my interview question by question for you guys because I honestly don't remember that much because it's been 2 months since I had my phone interview, and that's just overkill. You don't want to write out your answer for every single question. What I did was I made this cheat sheet on this legal pad, which you can't really see because it's overexposed. But anyway, my handwriting is terrible, so you don't want to look at it anyway. After looking at a couple of blogs, I picked what questions I thought were most important / what questions I think I might stumble on, or questions that I really needed to sit there and think about how I wanted to answer. So, basically, I just wrote little bullet points because, you don't want to read like you're reading from a script. When you're doing your interview, you want to give really honest answers from your heart, so just write bullet points and just know what you want to talk about. Don't write out everything you want to say, just sort of remind yourself and give yourself keywords that will make you remember what you want to say. During your interview, smile, because they can hear it in your voice when you're smiling. You think that they wouldn't be able to, but just either look in a mirror or turn your webcam on and smile, and just smile throughout the whole interview and sound enthusiastic and just be Disney. I don't know how to say it any better than that. Put some pictures up that make you laugh or just make you smile, and put little sticky notes saying you can do it and just smile. I personally am a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, if you couldn't tell by this poster behind my head. So I had these really goofy pictures of Sora taped to my computer. Also this one from Kingdom Hearts 2. So yeah, I had those taped to my computer, and I had my webcam up so I could look at myself, and I also had sticky notes, just trying to be positive and reminding me to smile. So, about 30 minutes before my interview, I was starting to get really, really, really nervous because it's really important to me that I could get to work for the Disney company, because it's a media company that I had grown up absolutely adoring, and it's just such an inspiration to me. And as a media studies student, to be able to work for Disney, that's just an invaluable thing to have on my resume to impress future employers and whatnot, and maybe even potentially to work for Disney as a film editor one day would be absolutely wonderful. But yeah, I went off on a tangent. Okay, so yeah, 30 minutes before the interview, I started blasting Disney music through my iTunes to try and calm myself down. I was singing Hakuna Matata, and one that helped a lot was Let It Go from Frozen, because I was letting go of my anxiety because I'm cheesy like that. But anyway, the interview can happen anytime, within a time span of 15 to 30 minutes before your scheduled time, and also 15 to 30 minutes after your scheduled time. Because sometimes they run late, depending on, you know, whether people's interviews last longer than they think they should. At the beginning of the interview, they tell you it's probably going to last 15 to 20 minutes. I think mine lasted 26 minutes or something like that, so mine technically ran late. But yeah, so basically what Disney does is they tell you to block out an entire hour, and during that hour, like any time that phone call could come. So make sure you're not scheduling your phone interview like right before a class or right before you're scheduled to leave before work or something. Just make sure you have plenty of time, don't rush yourself, and just, I don't know, just relax and calm yourself beforehand. So yeah, the way the actual interview goes is you'll receive a phone call that's either restricted or blocked. There were a couple of people who said that the phone number wasn't blocked, and it did come up as Orlando, Florida. But most of the time it's going to be a restricted phone number. So don't let it go to voicemail. If you see a restricted phone number around the time that you're supposed to get your interview, definitely pick up. And the first thing they're going to ask you is it a good time? And more than likely, if you scheduled it, it should be a good time. I'm sure if some extenuating circumstance happens and you need to reschedule it, that would be fine, but try to plan ahead and just schedule a good time. Emphasize that a lot. Also make sure to schedule it on your computer, because if you schedule it on your phone, sometimes it gets messed up. And also make sure it's your right time zone, because I've also heard of people messing that up too. So yeah, they're going to ask you if it's a good time, and I said yes, it is a good time. And I just was smiling, and I was super enthusiastic, and like just almost to the point where you almost sound obnoxious. Just, you know, be Disney. Okay, so I think the first thing she asked me was about my preferences for Walt Disney World or Disneyland. And my preference is Walt Disney World because it's closest to me, and it's still 10 hours away, so being on the other side of the country just seemed like a little much. So I definitely had Walt Disney World as my one and only preference. The next thing she asked me about was Spring and Spring Advantage, and I thought I didn't have a choice whether or not I couldn't put Spring Advantage, but when she was asking me about it and I said I really didn't want Spring Advantage because I needed to pay back student loans, she was very understanding and she took it off of my application, so I was listed as Spring only. The next thing she asked me about was my experience with Japanese. I had put down that I was only conversational and not fluent, and when I put that down I was thinking more in mind of rooming situations. Like I figured since I put just conversational that maybe they might room me with a Japanese international student. But she asked me if I was comfortable putting it on my name tag and to use at work. And I was like, because I wasn't really expecting that. So I was a little bit nervous, and I was like, yeah, sure, maybe. But now that I am accepted, I definitely am highly considering taking the language test to get my Japanese pen. I'm definitely going to have to study before I get there, but yeah. So if you put down that you know a foreign language, be prepared to answer about that. And basically after that we jumped right into talking about the roles. A lot of websites that I did my research on said to have a list of top 5 roles that you want. My interviewer didn't ever specifically ask me for my top 5 roles. She just kind of took them from my application and started asking about them. So you can prepare your list of 5 roles because some interviewers will ask about it, but sometimes they'll just go ahead and just look at your application and pick what you put high interest in. So I was asked mostly about PhotoPass, character performer, character attendant, and kind of a mix of merch and quick service food and beverage. I can never say it. It's so much easier to just say QSFB. But yeah. I was asked a lot about PhotoPass because that's what I have the most experience with. I had done an internship last semester where I did a lot of film work and also a couple of still pictures, but I emphasized that I mostly only have film experience more than still photography. And then she was asking me stuff like, was I okay with carrying like 20 pounds of equipment around, and if I was okay with getting into waist-high water, which I didn't know what she was talking about for the water question until she said water parks, and then it hit me. I was like, oh, okay. And I was also asked stuff like, have I ever handled food, or have I handled cash? And my answer to both of those is no, because my only work experience really is the internship that I just talked about, and I also am the vice president for my dad's company, but I mostly just do woodworking, and I fix roofs. Like, I don't know what exactly to call it, but I put like sealant on the roofs of RVs. So after that, after she'd asked me questions about all of the roles, she asked me what role I thought I was most qualified for, which again I answered PhotoPass because it's similar to my major, and also I had experience working with cameras and whatnot in my internship that I did last semester. So after that, she basically wrapped it up and said that I should start checking my dashboard around 2 to 3 weeks after the interview to see if I was accepted. And it ended up taking a lot longer than that, but it was worth it in the end because I'm going to Disney World, and even though I was so worried for 2 months, but it's all good now. The last thing we did is she asked me if I had any questions, and I asked mostly about the classes, and I'm a graduating senior this semester. I can't talk right anymore, I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, I'm a graduating senior this semester, and I was asking if I could take the collegiate courses even though I'm graduating, and I wouldn't be earning any credits for it. And she was like, yeah, that's fine, you don't need to earn credits to take them. And I also asked specifically about one of the major restricted classes because it's called entertainment production. It seems more geared to theater majors. I can't talk. And since I'm media studies, which is more film oriented, I didn't know if maybe that meant like I couldn't take the class, but it's also talking about production as a whole, so I didn't know if maybe they threw cameras in there, or if it was literally just all stage production. So I asked about that, and she answered as well as she could. She didn't know the answer to the major question, but she definitely knew the answer to the college credit one. And after that, I just wrapped it up, and she told me to have a magical day, and I said, you too, and I made sure to use her name, which, if I didn't mention that earlier in the video, because I don't remember, as soon as they say their name, write down their name, because it makes a very good impression if you use their name in the interview, and it just shows that you were listening. Even though you're extremely nervous, it shows that you paid attention, you genuinely care about the person you're talking to. So write down their name and use it. So I think that's about it for going into detail about the phone interview. If you have any questions, you can ask me here in the comments of this video. Or you can go to my Tumblr blog, which again is brooksdcpadventures.tumblr.com, and you can ask me there if you'd rather do it anonymously. If you like this video, you can subscribe, or you can also follow my Tumblr blog where I will also be posting these videos. Thank you guys so much. Bye!